Okay, hey everyone. We're really excited to have you at Next. I'm Hody Myers, product manager on Drive platform.
And I'm Steve Basil, a developer programs engineer for G Suite APIs.
And we're here today to talk about something that every enterprise is facing. You'll always be growing your ranks, getting new people up and productive. New team members need to get access to all the existing files, and when people leave, you don't want all their work to disappear. The faster and smoother you can achieve this, the faster you get employees up and productive.
And that's why we created Team Drives. Team Drives extends Drive with safe, easy-to-manage shared spaces for teams. And starting today, Team Drives is supported by the Google Drive API. We have a couple of our partners here today to talk about what they're doing with that API to help teams work better together.
In enterprise and large organizations, the needs for Drive and Drive apps have evolved over the last years. Most work is done in groups. When Drive and the Drive API were originally designed, the vision was around a single user sharing files on a one-off basis. All the file ownership, permissions, and engineering optimizations were centered on this one use case. So as a result, you could get into confusing states when you're collaborating on files, such as different people having different views on the same folder. For example, I shared the presentation folder with Steve. I had some files in there for him, but I didn't realize those files had more restricted permissions than the folder itself. So Steve never even saw that these files were in there, and I didn't realize he didn't see them until he asked me for them weeks later. Team Drive is addressing this. A team drive looks the same to everyone in the team drive. This is extremely important to make sure that all your team members have access to all the information they need.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that concretely. To ensure that everyone in the team gets a consistent view of all the items in there, we had to make some changes to the permission model and the organization model. So one of the more notable changes is a file can exist in either My Drive or Team Drives, but not both. When a file is in Team Drives, it's owned by the team itself, not any individual user, not the person who created the file. Those files also have a very consistent location, as files in Team Drives can only ever have one parent. So everybody knows where every file is, and they see all files in the same place. To ensure that everyone has a consistent view, everyone who's a member of the Team Drive can see all items. They may not all be able to write those items. It just depends on their role. And one of the things we've heard a lot is people getting confused when somebody deletes or moves a file that's in a shared folder, and they don't realize that somebody is using that file. And all of a sudden, all these other users don't know what happened. In Team Drives, we made moving and deleting a lot more restricted. We created a new role called Organizer. And organizers are the only members of the Team Drive that can actually move or delete content.
But sometimes you don't want to add people to your team drive, but you still want to give them access to individual files within the team drive. For example, we created a video demoing team drives. When we wanted to share it with folks around the company, we didn't want them to add them to our team drive. They were not part of our team, and all the internal docs were of no relevance to them. We just wanted to give them access to this one file. So in addition to team drive membership, we have the concept of file access, giving users access to individual files within the team drive without sharing anything about the team drive itself. So when people saw the video of our demo, they saw the video, but they did not see any information about our team drive name, the people in the team drive, or the team drive folder structure, because none of that was relevant to them, so none of that was shared. And finally, the old drive model could get confusing when you're collaborating on the same file and different people had the same file in different folders. Let's say I had this presentation in my presentations folder and Steve had it in his next folder. If Steve were sharing his next folder with me, I would have the same file in two different places, getting confused, or which one is the real one, or are there duplicates or copies. To make collaboration less confusing, Team Drive files have exactly one parent. That means that every Team Drive file belongs to a single Team Drive and a single location within this Team Drive.
All of these changes change how the Drive API works with Team Drives. To avoid breaking applications, we took an opt-in approach. That means if you want to work with content in Drive or manage team drives themselves, you need to make changes to your application. If you don't, your app won't break, you just won't be able to access that content. Before you begin, though, be aware that Team Drives is only available for G Suite Business and Enterprise. In order to play with Team Drives, learn about the features, and experiment with the API, you'll need to have a domain with either of those editions in order to try these features out. So that said, the opt-in approach starts with including an extra query parameter in most of your API calls. And this is appropriately named supports Team Drives, and you set it to true. This is an acknowledgement to us that your application is ready to handle some of the behavioral differences that you'll experience with content in Team Drives. Of course, your application needs to be able to handle those differences. And this includes things such as response fields that aren't populated on Team Drive content, the awareness of new roles like organizer, and restrictions on operations such as setting parents so that you can only have one inside a Team Drive. If you don't set this parameter, we'll just pretend that the files that you're asking for or any files in Team Drive don't exist. And if you try to get it, you'll get a 404 just like any other file that you don't have access to. This, of course, is really just the tip of the iceberg and a bit of an oversimplification. Fortunately, though, many apps won't need to do much more than this. In fact, I was just playing around with one of our sample applications. It was a simple text editor that we had built a couple years ago. And literally, the changes were about 3 lines of code. So in that case, it was very, very simple for me to support Team Drives. For other applications, though, the changes can get complicated pretty quickly. If you deal a lot with permissions, change logs, or do a lot of file organization, you're likely going to have a lot more changes to think about. We created a guide in our documentation, though, that details all the behavioral changes that you'll experience with the Drive API, so you can plan your work and assess the impact appropriately.
So far, we've told you a lot about what we've built. But you're probably really interested in what you can do with this building and how you can fill it. So for the Team Drives launch, we've worked with our top partners to make sure that the Team Drives API is working for them and that their apps are supporting Team Drives at launch. We have 5 partners here with us today to tell us all about how they've made use of the Team Drives API and maybe share some tricks, what they've learned working with it. First, we have Paul Lees from Cloud Migrator.
Hi, my name is Paul Lees, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of Cloud Technology Solutions, and we're the developers of the Cloud Migrator. Cloud Migrator is the world's leading migration platform for Google G Suite. We've helped organizations migrate emails, calendars, contacts, and files to the Google G Suite environment. We've moved over 5.5 million individuals and over 3 petabytes of data. And now we're helping organizations move files from systems such as Box, Dropbox, OneDrive, SharePoint, local file systems, and even Google Drive shared folders to Team Drive. We've been working with the Google APIs for many years, and we've been involved in some of the largest migrations to date. So for us, like Steve mentioned, moving to Team Drives was a fairly trivial task. However, I'd like to focus more on what we've done with one of our customers that we've helped to move to Team Drives. So let me introduce you to Veolia. Veolia is a large organization. They specialize in water, waste management, and energy services. Veolia have over 170,000 employees around the world. 115,000 of those have a G Suite account. Veolia moved to Google back in 2013, and they have a very well-established Google environment and ecosystem. Veolia have made extensive use of Google Drive, with over 18 million files that are shared inside their organization. Collaboration has always been key to the way that Veolia have work. Individuals get together to form ad hoc groups, growing and shrinking as the need requires. These teams have utilized Google Drive and Google Docs. However, Veolia have started to experience some of the issues that Hudi mentioned around file inconsistencies, and specifically offboarding users, where a manual process will have to be performed in order to transfer ownership of files for users who are being offboarded. So the release of Team Drives and the move to Team Drives was absolutely critical for Veolia. So working with the global IS&T team of Veolia, we set about implementing a Team Drives pilot. Using the Cloud Migrator, we analyzed existing Google shared folders. First, we had to identify the most appropriate users inside these shared folders to make sure that they would be able to benefit from collaborating inside a Team Drive. We then needed to get a 360-degree view of the file sharing inside these folders. We needed to make sure that every user had the same view of these file shares. We also needed to make sure, was there any external sharing permissions that maybe those didn't need to be passed over when we moved to Team Drives? Could the users see the same files? And because when you're using the API, you're migrating or you're focusing on a specific user, you're performing a migration as a user, we need to identify which user we need to do the migration on behalf of. Because if we perform the migration for somebody who doesn't have access to all of the files, then we're going to miss some of that data. So again, the analytics is key to how that works. So the result, seamless integration and migration with Cloud Migrator. The users can now work on existing files while still taking advantage of Team Drives. And while this event is really a technology conference, it's important to understand the impact that we can have to users and their daily lives. So I'm going to leave you with a statement from the Veolia CTO and on why he feels Team Drive is so important.
Thanks, and thanks for making it so much easier to migrate to Team Drives. Great.
Thank you. Next up is Nate Cullum from Better Cloud.
See if I can figure out how to make this work. OK, great. Thank you, Hodi. I'm very excited to be at Next and to share with you how Better Cloud will support the management and adoption of Team Drive for your organization. Better Cloud is the first ever unified SaaS management platform, enabling IT to centralize, automate, and govern users and data across all of their SaaS environments. Let me talk a little bit about how we do that. As a SaaS-powered organization grows in SaaS app adoption and users, manual administration for these users inside these native admin consoles becomes an unscalable burden for IT. And it also creates a security risk for your organization. Better Cloud centralizes the functions available in these disparate SaaS admin consoles into a single point of control. Better Cloud connects directly to your SaaS application's APIs and ingests information about your organization. And then we normalize that data into buckets like users and groups and data and resources. And we present those in data grids and reporting and alerts and insights. And we allow you to take action on those data objects, individual or one-off. And of course, we give you the ability to create automated workflows to streamline management for these SaaS apps. Again, all from a single interface. Better Cloud is all in when it comes to Google. We're the #1 admin app on the G Suite marketplace. Since our inception over the last 5 years, we've served over we've served over 3,000 customers with 4 million users. Our product is built completely on the Google Cloud. platform, and we integrate with the entire G Suite stack to provide a seamless management experience for IT professionals. So we remain fully committed to supporting G Suite and, of course, Team Drive. So let's very quickly talk about the problem. We're hearing more and more that IT professionals are experiencing what they've dubbed death by 1,000 tabs. Day-to-day SaaS management of simple user changes, password changes, group membership updates, or even the more complex tasks like onboarding and offboarding. These tasks are manual, repetitive, tedious, and of course, they're prone to human error, and in some cases, slow to resolve. So with Better Cloud, IT admins can take action across their SaaS apps, one offer in bulk, and with Better Cloud workflows, they can easily automate custom sequences that match their existing manual process. We've built this using a when-if-then engine, and let me show you what it looks like for Team Drive. So here the IT admin is building an onboarding workflow for their sales department. So when a new sales rep, when a new user is created, and they're added to the sales org unit, we're going to automate a number of onboarding-related activities for that user. Things like adding them to the right groups, sharing the right calendars, and of course, adding them to the sales Team Drive. Now, this completely automates the process of onboarding a user into Team Drive, but it also makes sure that that user has the access to everything they need on day one. And as you can see, it's incredibly easy to onboard your users to Team Drive. Another thing that we see a lot, team changes. Now let's say we want to automate the process of a user moving from one team to another team. In this example, the user is moving from the sales team to the support team, and this workflow completely automates removing them from the sales Team Drive and adding them to the support Team Drive. In addition to this, it also adds them to support-related items and removes them from sales-related items like Slack channels or Slack user groups. And as you guys will see later in this presentation, Slack has an amazing Team Drive integration. And finally, these actions can also be taken one offer in bulk. What we're looking at now is the directory user grid in Better Cloud. I can filter by the filter by the department field in Google, search specifically for sales, and then via our action engine, add them directly to Team Drive. So to summarize, Better Cloud empowers IT to take action and orchestrate complex processes across your applications, users, and data, while ensuring accuracy, precision, and compliance. Every day, thousands of customers rely on Better Cloud to centralize data and controls, surface operational intelligence, and orchestrate complex actions across all their SaaS applications. And now you can too with Team Drive. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate. A hot topic in cybersecurity is user and entity behavior analytics. To talk about how CloudLock is supporting Team Drives in their products is Haley Batts from Cisco.
Okay, so all right, awesome. So the way we work has changed over the past 10 years. With the advent of cloud and mobile, more and more people are not bound by the four corners of going to a company every day and working there. So with that, security has obviously had to change. So let's talk a little bit about why. We have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS applications more readily available. And we're going to these applications because they enhance our productivity, they're more cost effective, but also we have our on-premise data moving to the public cloud, critical data moving to the public cloud. The second thing is with coffee shop IT. We're no longer having to work in the office and log on to the VPN. And so this can leave us a little bit more vulnerable to attacks. And companies can lack that visibility and protection. And the third thing is with bring your own device and the Internet of Things, there's more unmanaged devices going on your network. So with Cloud Lock, it's a new security vector that has been established because of these things. And so our concern now is what data is in the cloud, who is accessing it, and what are they doing with that data. And CASB is the new security vector that's protecting it. And Cloud Lock has been working with Google since 2007, protecting Google Drive environments. We protect SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS applications, and protect the users' data and apps within these applications. So Hoodie and Steve mentioned some of the challenges before on a visibility level. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we had on a security level. So what we did was we applied Cloud Lock's user behavior entity analytics to Team Drive. And so for simplicity's sake, let's take company ABC and their finance team. So the finance team's files are company assets. They're not personal. And before, the finance team's files were attached to a user. And sharing was based on specific names, which can be prone to error. Another thing that happened was getting visibility over what content was in these files and classifying them. So files could reside in multiple drives, and you could use Cloud Lock's DLP policies to classify them, but you still had you still had sensitive information distributed across many users. And to get the big picture view for company ABC, you had to take the sum of all their files and their sensitive information to get an overview. So with Team Drive, this has changed. You can specify a container, right? You can label a container and put a specific, sorry, this one. Put a specific team around it. So what we're doing now is the finance team, all they need to do is establish a circle of trust, and now the sharing is centralized. And the focus now is to make sure that our circle of trust doesn't get violated. And we can use Cloud Lock to monitor that container. So what we're going to do is we're going to monitor all the user activities for the finance files, and we can have a new confidence in knowing that ABC's finance documents are in one specific location. And what's notable here is once data categorization is established and you've established your circle of trust, companies can now put sensitive information in the cloud and have it contained and actively monitor it. So what does monitor, contain, and visibility, what does that all mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to actively monitor the team's activities in Team Drive and then detect for non-member access. We can also detect for Team Drive membership changes in case a non-member gets access to the sensitive information, and we can see what actions they've taken and what access they've had. On top of that, we can actively receive notifications when a violation does occur. Google does a great job with security. However, to be the most secure, you need to take a layered approach, and this is one additional layer to add to your security stack. And here we go, the next one. So Google, at Cloud Lock, we serve some of Google's largest enterprise clients. And so we've had some pretty complex use cases to work through, and I want to tell you a little bit about that today. So 2 examples of challenges that we've had. The first one is around the definition of a user. And so in Cloud Lock, when you're creating a policy, everything sort of revolves around the user and the actions that user takes. So we had to reevaluate what an owner means when we're looking at actions that people are taking and what that means for policy enforcement. The second challenge that we came across was to get a full picture view, which you'll need to do if you're securing your environment, is you need to be able to look at all the team drives within that environment. And when we first started working together, there was no way to do that. It was impossible. So we worked with Hoodie and Steve to actually create an administrator API so that we could look at all team drives in an environment. So just some things to consider when you are working with the Team Drive API. So security should always be a priority. However, the user experience is also very critical. And negatively impacting that user experience can force users and companies to seek alternative solutions. Some cloud applications make you put a proxy or a gateway in front of the solution in order to protect and enhance security. And because Google takes an API-first mentality, it makes it very easy for customers and vendors like us to work with Google. It's been great working with the team. They've been very responsive to us and our questions around the API. And we're really excited to release this UEBA for Team Drive because our customers are very interested in moving over to Team Drive, and now we're able to continue and extend our security to the Team Drive. So CloudLock's cybersecurity solution, because it's an API-first mentality, is very easy to deploy, implement, and it gets you up and running within minutes to help accelerate the use of cloud. Thank you.
So team drives are all about collaboration. One of our favorite new apps in the space of collaboration is LumApps, and we have Ellie here today with us to tell us how they're using team drives.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Elie Meloa, and I am the co-founder and CTO of LumApps. LumApps is the only corporate and social portal recommended by Google, and it's fully integrated with G Suite. LumApps is everything you need to go to work in one place. And our goal is to make sure that you will never need your old intranet again. LumApps is a social, mobile, and smart intranet to connect and engage all employees. It brings all your internal communications in a central hub, corporate news, business applications, including G Suite, and social collaboration. It's built on top of G Suite and integrates with directory, groups, Drive, Gmail, Calendar, Sites, and much more. And we are proud to have a team 100% dedicated to the Google Cloud Platform. LumApps is now used all over the world by Google customers who want to make the most out of G Suite, and especially team drives. For instance, we have a customer, Dalkia, who will be deploying team drives very soon. Dalkia is an energy company, a leader in Europe, with more than 13,000 employees on G Suite. We onboarded them 2 years ago from their old custom-made intranet and had to move more than 1,000 pages to LumApps and thousands of documents to Google Drive. And we now serve more than 10,000 pages every day for them. And even with these impressive numbers of pages and employees, LumApps currently has an 80% satisfaction rate on the quality of the site. However, they wanted to simplify the permissions management on the drive assets. And they also wanted to centralize the ownership of all the files that are put on the intranet. And then come team drives. As a lot of Google products, Drive is deeply integrated in LumApps. And today, we are proud to announce that the LumApps Drive features now fully support Team Drive. From a technical perspective, the journey was a pleasant one, as the Team Drive team was motivated to make sure the API is backward compatible and well documented. And our teams worked well together So we only had to make our integrations Team Drive aware. So at LumApps, we assembled a team of 2 software engineers who cooperated with the Team Drive experts at Google, and they remain available 24/7. And we are especially grateful for Birken and Audi involvements, as well as recommended for G Suite team support with Renault and Torsten. They helped us with documentation and provided assistance on the few hiccups we discovered with the API. So now let's focus on how we solve our customers' issues, including Dalkia's. So first, in LumApps, we have widgets to embed and browse team drives directly on any site. So these widgets are also used for basic operation, like uploading files, creating folders, moving files, and all of this in an effort to encourage the usage of Drive all over the company. Next, in the search engine, what we do is that we aggregate data from the sites, the user directory, events from calendar, emails from Gmails, and so we also plugged the search engine into team drives so users can quickly find information from all their corporate data. And finally, our team communities are a perfect fit for Team Drive. They offer a place for our team to share ideas, best practices, to manage a project, and so employees can ask questions, they can share files, plan events in a dedicated and fully managed Team Drive and calendar. And so the Team Drive is automatically accessible to all community members, and permissions are synchronized as soon as you add the team members in LumApps. And this is a big relief for our customer, Dalkia, as they can now focus on collaboration and content creation. Well, if you want to know more about LumApps, you can meet with us at our booth. It's E12 at the Moscone, or you can attend our customer testimonial tomorrow with Veolia at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ellie. As you can see, Team Drives and the Drive API is already allowing our partners to add a lot of valuable new services. But of course, we're really excited about stuff that we haven't even seen yet in terms of new use cases, and are really excited to see what people come up with.
Yeah, one of those forward-looking and completely new use cases will be presented here by Salman. Salman, tell us all about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Odi. So my name is Salman Sohail. I'm a senior product manager at Slack on the platform team there, and I'm super excited to be here today. So at Slack, at everyone in this room kind of is pretty aware that there's a massive shift happening in the way that work is happening and the way that businesses are operating their software across the world, right? People are actively moving to the cloud or have already moved completely to the cloud. The number of tools that you're using and the software you're using to accomplish work is expanding every single day. And companies are trying to react and figure out how they're going to deal with this explosion of tools and this consumerization of the enterprise software space. And at Slack, we're taking a very hard look at the shifting dynamic, and specifically how we can get groups and teams of people fluidly, dynamically, and efficiently working together, creating a more transparent, and at the end of the day, the most important thing is a more powerful and a more efficient work environment for you, the people who are actually accomplishing work. And so our mission here is to make people's working lives simpler, more pleasant, and more productive at work. That is what we're trying to do every single day at Slack. And on the platform team, our specific team's goal is to combine the tools and the software that you're using every single day and bring them into the place that the conversations around the work that's happening is there already. And So what that really looks like in practice means that instead of having to context switch between multiple accounts and multiple tabs and multiple browser windows and multiple Mac spaces and maybe even multiple different OS types, you can now pull all of that software directly into Slack, seamlessly integrating the conversations you are already having with the work that you're attempting to get done. So what does that really mean in practice? Say I'm a product manager, I'm having a conversation with my sales team about a specific client. Now, I don't meet with clients every single day, so maybe I don't have that context. Within the conversation, I can directly pull all the information about this client, who they are, who their account rep is, are we green, yellow, red with them, what's the kind of the next conversation we're gonna have with them, directly into the conversation, so I don't need to jump and get disturbed and be pulled out of context and multitask. What if I wanna check the status of my support tickets, because my fancy automated standing desk, it won't go up and down anymore. What if I wanted to reach out to my help desk team and be like, hey, can we get someone to come check this out? I can do that directly within Slack without having to go to another system, because there are enough systems that are out there. And most importantly, what I'm super excited to talk about today is what if you wanted to share and collaborate on the docs and sheets and slides that you have within Google Drive? What if you wanted to do that? Or is it necessary to go somewhere else to manage those things? And no, we're really excited with some of the work that we're doing to pull all of that work directly into Slack so that we can connect the powerhouse that really is Google Drive with the work that is happening inside of Slack. And it's the reason we're so excited about team drives, because it takes Google Drive kind of beyond the domain and creates these groups of people who are attempting to accomplish and move work together. And more often than not, those groups of people understand the context with which those files need to be shared and those files need to be discussed. And so going into that more micro view of those groups is something that's super powerful. Now, Slack and G Suite, we've been integrated since day one. So day one, Slack came out, this has always been involved. We manage document importing, indexing, search, and discovery directly into Slack simply by pasting that link in there. It automatically becomes discoverable and searchable within Slack already. But of course, we're not stopping there. We have a very large partnership with Google. We have a bunch of new things that are coming out in 2017. Today, I'm gonna focus just on the team drives use case. And the reason for that is because we know at Google, who takes security probably more close to heart than anyone else, and at Slack, that when teams come together to work, there's a whole bunch of other issues that begin to become a problem, right? We're talking about permissions, we're talking about security, we're talking about user management, we're talking about contractors or freelancers who might come and temporarily join your team. These all become massive problems. And as your company grows and scales, and as you begin to pull in customer data and PII data, all of this, the escalation policies around all of these become more important for us to be able to manage. And so firstly, just at the drive level, you'll be able to provision new Slack teams and users directly from Google Drive. And so what that means is your users, your teams, your accounts, they all get completely synchronized between these two disconnecting platforms, making sure that the people who are one are always exist and the people who are on the other. And so if you're already managing your user base through Google Drive, you won't have to involve any other software applications to automatically pull that into Slack. You can do that directly from Google. It's super amazing. But if we zoom in on that a little bit, and this is the thing that I'm more excited to talk about, you'll now, once that is done, you'll be able to connect Slack channels directly into team drives. So what does that mean? Members of a channel can automatically become members of the team drive. Any file that you're discussing and sharing with your colleagues in that channel can automatically be uploaded into your team drive, and then as people leave either the company or the channel or the project, those files will be maintained on that team drive, so that you can ensure that you never have any kind of document loss. Now, there's a lot of things that we're talking about here. There's Google Drive, there's team drives, there's Slack teams, and there are Slack channels. And so if we try to take that apart and make this a little bit more real, what does that actually mean? So I'm sure that most people here have an HR department, let's hope. And the HR department is probably generally getting questions about what benefits do I have? What health insurance can I sign up for? Where's the latest form for PTO days off? And I'm sure that this HR team is constantly being oh, where's the document? Here's the document. Oh, I actually don't have access to that document. Can you please share that document? The number of times that conversation, that back and forth happens in a platform like Slack is just the seconds that are being wasted are just moments that your brain is having to switch context, go into this other thing, and set up the permissions to make sure this individual can get access to that file. Now, because we can sync the channel directly with the team drive, what it means is we can set read-only permissions on this team drive. Anyone who accesses the channel and is interested in the benefits questions automatically gets read-only access to all of these files in the team drive. It'll be available in their search. It'll be available in their Google Drive UI. And then when they leave this HR benefits channel, you can assume that they probably don't have any HR benefits questions at the moment. And so they'll automatically be removed from the files that they don't need to have access to. Now, that's an interesting use case. But let's say we wanted to make this a little bit more real. Now, I'm sure that a lot of companies are having really interesting business development partnerships that are conversations that are happening. In fact, there are probably a couple of companies in this room today that are having conversations with each other about potential partnerships. That's how businesses move forward. But those partnerships conversations need to be kept really quiet. They need to be kept very hush-hush. And you want to have a very strong amount of control in terms of who has search discovery access to these documents and who can go and see them as well. And so let's say we're talking about the Slack and Google partnership. We could create a channel that was specifically tied to the Slack and Google relationship. We could create a team drive where we have all of our legal documents, but also just like our product development conversations in that team drive. And now as anyone who joins the channel just called Google Partnerships automatically gets access to all of those documents. It will appear within their Drive UI. It will appear within their Slack search. And if they were to leave that project, we can automatically say, well, anything that you worked on, we want to keep those documents here. We want new team members to be able to discover those files. But you're no longer on the project, so you should probably, your access should be revoked. All of that can now happen as easy as it is to join or leave a Slack channel. And so some absolutely amazing things with Team Drive. I guess the thing that we're excited with not only is that Team Drive has been announced, but that all of those APIs around those permissions and security settings that we would need to be able to implement something on the Slack side, Google's opened up. And that amount of control is just incredibly powerful. We have a bunch of things going live in 2017 together. We're really excited for the Team Drive's work. Congratulations, Stephen Hody, for going into GA today, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Salman. To recap, Team Drives is expanding Drive with new capabilities to better serve the needs of teams. Apps that wish to use Team Drives do need to make some changes. And as you've seen, we have partners who've already gone through this partner to add support for Team Drives to their products. And starting today, the APIs are available for you to integrate with your products as well.
Yeah, as Prabhakar said or mentioned this morning in the keynote, there are a lot more exciting things coming to Drive today. So I'd encourage everyone interested in Drive to also attend the talk this afternoon at 1:20. It's called Google Drive, the enterprise-ready alternative to on-prem file shares and legacy content management.
It's a mouthful.
It's over there in Salon 8, the big room. And yeah, I think it will be very exciting too, if you're interested in Drive.